Mike, thanks very much for joining me this afternoon. What's the state of play at Lakes as we release ourselves from lockdown?
Yeah, it's been a very, very interesting time. We've actually managed to get everybody back now. Our sales team are actually still part furloughed, but they're working in the mornings, making them work really hard. The business itself has recovered very well in July. We did see a bit of a tail off for the last couple of days, but I mean, we're not quite sure whether that is going to sustain or continue into August. But July was very good for us. I mean, we were sort of pretty much on level trading with last year's July, which I'm very pleased with. And it's been a very, very quick bounce back, I think somewhat unexpectedly. The one thing it has taught me is that I did a forecast on the 1st of July that by the evening of the 1st of July was completely wrong. It was the speed of the return has been phenomenal.
And forecasting and data's quite key to you as one of the BNBI industry experts, isn't it? Tell me about what work the BNBI has done and what your kind of outlook is for the rest of the year.
I think it's a really interesting question, Tom, because when talking to other people that are involved in our sector, I think that the concerns are that that what is going to be the effect for anybody that's importing from China. I mean, we've got a lot of issues there around trade, what's going to happen in Hong Kong, what are the United States going to do with trade tariffs against China, what's the rest of the world going to do with trade tariffs against China. So I think there's a lot of concern about what's happening there. The other issue is also in terms of distribution of freight on ships. We're seeing a lot of ships still being diverted away from British ports, or away from ports. It almost seems to be a random thing. There doesn't seem to be any reason for it. So I think there might be some more supply issues. I think if you're a manufacturer that is manufacturing from Italy, that's been very, very difficult for those manufacturers. The big question is going to be when, probably not if, there is a second spike. And when's that going to be? How big's that going to be? And who's it going to affect? We see major sort of cities being locked down in Australia. We see cities in the UK going into partial lockdown. So I think that the issues that are going to be coming are far more to do with the supply chain, but then coupled with the forecasting, which has been so difficult for people, because is it a question of it's a bounce back and this is going to continue into August, September, October because people aren't going away? Have we seen a bit of a spike and it'll settle back down again? So what is the new norm that we all talk about? And I think they're the challenging things for suppliers. And that, I suppose, quite a long answer, but coupled with the expectation of our own customer base expecting us to have everything immediately and forgetting that we've just come out of a whole pandemic. So I think it's setting customer expectations and reality are going to be the biggest challenges. That's the main thing I'm going to be talking about in the next BNBI column.
So to what extent do you think the all these different variables and the difficulty in forecasting, is that the new normal?
I think so. I think we're going to see that because everybody talks about when is there going to be a spike? Is there going to be a spike? Yeah, invariably there will be. And if it's not now in the autumn, will it be in the winter? And that's also coupled with another small thing that we might have sort of forgotten called Brexit. And we don't know whether what trade deal, if any, we're going to come out with our European neighbours. And how will that then affect our trade with the rest of the world? So I think we're in for a very difficult time to forecast. And remembering that actually costs are still going up. So how do you have that conversation with the customer of, I don't know when you're going to get it, you don't know what you're going to buy, and by the way, my costs have gone up. And all these are sort of all merging, morphing into one part of the year, into a 6-month period. So it's going to be very challenging. It would be so much nicer if our customer base and our customer's customer base could give us an indication of what they're going to do. I mean, that aside, I know the BMA's done a lot of work on some consumer research, which was very good, and actually gave us a nice picture actually of consumer confidence over the next 12 months. That sort of survey really helps suppliers, manufacturers plan for the future. So more of that, please, actually, Tom.
Well, I think what we need to do with that is a rerun at some point in the near future, so that actually the last piece of polling, which was done with a 2,000 strong representative sample, actually was a benchmark, and we really could do with tracking that confidence around purchasing and investing in bathrooms. One of the things that we've observed is that COVID and the response to it from the sector has accelerated a lot of changes that we perhaps anticipated over the medium term to be short-term changes, including potentially around channels to market and online versus the traditional routes to market. What's your view there?
I can understand whilst we're in lockdown, the drive to people sitting at home might have, and we did it as a family, sit down and think, well, what are we going to change in the house? And then we immediately jump online and start looking online. I think the challenge for this sector is very much of the role of the showroom. We've seen that merchants have got showrooms open with social distancing, and that's absolutely brilliant. But if we're just into a race to go online, which invariably becomes a race to the bottom, and actually nobody wins in that race. And yet we've seen so many big companies go to the wall, trying to be the cheapest online. And my view is still the same, is that we use our senses when we're buying something. And part of a bathroom refurb is all about the senses. It's all about the touch of a door handle. What does a tray feel like when you walk on it? What's the sound of a door sound like when you close it? It's about the experience of going and looking around a showroom. And I think we just have to be careful within the market that we don't see this rush to all go online. Yes, it's an omni-channel market. We know that. You've got to have a presence. You've got to have an offering. But it's also, how do you make yourselves different? And actually making yourselves different is by being better in a showroom, making your showrooms more user-friendly, making them real to people rather than just cubicle after cubicle of shower enclosure or bath or toilet or whatever it may well be. Actually make proper settings. I think this is the opportunity for the good retailer, the good merchant, the good showroom to really start making a difference and entice people in. Because let's be honest, if you get 50% of the job is done for somebody coming into your showroom because they've got in their car, and if you get them into a showroom, you can upsell them. You can have add-on sales, value-added sales. If you're just online, people will just look for whatever they want. They won't necessarily think about what sort of tray. Do I need grab rails because it's a multi-generational living? Do I need a bath seat? They don't think about that. But the showroom expert can absolutely add value to any showroom and to any supplier and to their own business. So don't race to the bottom. Be aware that dare to be different, I think, is a term.
Mike, I'm just going to finish up by giving a quick plug to our sustainability forum on the 1st of October, which you're going to be speaking at. What's Lakes doing around the sustainability agenda?
Well, we've continued on. We sort of started our journey last year. In fact, we just had the latest report came through that because of our actions in recycling all of our waste, we've actually saved this year so far 208 trees that haven't been cut down. I think it probably would have been more if we'd all been working in the offices. But for us, it's about continuing that process, and we will be announcing to the market later in the year that on our own vehicles, we will be collecting the packaging material that was previously the responsibility of the homeowner or the merchant to get rid of. So we'll be saying to people, look, if you collect it, bring it back. When we deliver something, we will take back the cardboard and we will recycle it ourselves. Mm-hmm. So I think it's continued to driving that forward. And I think for me, sitting on that sort of BMBI panel as well, it's it's a responsibility for me to try and drive that with all suppliers, because if we don't, we're all going to be have a nasty shock when legislation changes next year.
Mike, thanks very much for your time.
More than welcome. Thank you very much indeed, Tom.
Cheers.